Hey, happy Monday, everyone, on this final week of the 40 Things to Give Up for Lent and Beyond. Today is Monday of Holy Week, and today we are giving up envy. Envy is the overwhelming desire to possess what others have. Envy takes on many forms. Sometimes we envy other people's material possessions. Still other times we envy their talents, their abilities. Still other times we envy their social position, their status, a promotion maybe that they get at work. Envy causes us to despise rather than rejoice in the good fortunes of others. Nothing good ever comes from envy. Envy leads to sorrow. It leaves this empty feeling inside with a hole in our heart. In many cases, envy will lead to greater misfortune than the misfortune we already have. This was the case with King Saul in ancient Israel in the Old Testament. After he and David returned from having defeated the Philistines, David having defeated the Philistine champion named Goliath, we read in 1 Samuel 18, verse 6 through 9, as they were coming home when David returned from striking down the Philistine, the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, with songs of joy, and with musical instruments. And the women sang to one another as they celebrated, Saul has struck down his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very angry, and this saying displeased him. He said, they have ascribed David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed thousands. And what more can he have but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day on. In other words, Saul became envious of David for the praise that David received. But the real enemy was not David. The real enemy was the Philistines. But envy caused Saul to make David into an enemy. David had defended the nations against the Philistines by defeating the Philistine champion. He was one of Saul's greatest assets, but Saul despised the fact that David received greater praise. Saul became intent on killing David. Instead of using military might to protect against the Philistines, Saul used the military to pursue David. It left Saul and the entire army vulnerable to the Philistines, and eventually Saul was killed in a battle against the Philistines. It leaves one to wonder what would have happened if Saul had not been so envious of David. What would have happened if Saul had befriended David and used David to defeat or to fight the real enemy? Envy causes us to lose sight of our real enemy. We let our guard down and we're left vulnerable to Satan. Envy makes us blind to the goodness of God in our life because we are consumed with what we don't have. It was out of envy that Jesus was handed over to the Romans to be crucified. The religious leaders were envious of how people were following Jesus. They saw Jesus as a threat to their power and to their prestige. They would not rest until Jesus was crucified. Because of envy, they missed out on what God was doing. Rather than partnering with God on his mission, envy left them fighting against God, and it was not a winning proposition. Envy caused the religious leaders to despise the greatest blessing that they had ever been given. Jesus was not one to be envied, but to embrace. The point is not to let envy blind you to the blessings that God is pouring into your life. Who have you become envious of that God is calling you to embrace rather than despise? God has placed a calling on your life. You need to know that. You have everything you need, more than you realize. Many times God provides for us through other people. They are blessed in ways you are not, and you're blessed in ways that they are not. Live with the zeal for God's mission. Know that he will bring gifted people into your life to accomplish more than you could ever imagine. Hey, happy Monday, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday.